Well, hey everybody, this is Jim, and today we're going to be changing headlights. I happen to have a 2011 Chevy Malibu, but this pertains to a lot of these cars. I don't know, there are just those days when you'd like to get a hold of the person who designed this stuff and go, what were you thinking? But that's exactly it with this, because on this car, you can gain access to the driver's side headlight from the back if you have relatively small hands or you're fairly nimble. On the passenger side, however, there is absolutely no access to the back. And that means you have to take off this front fascia, this front valance, whatever you want to call it. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to start by taking off this black trim piece above the radiator here in the front. We're going to take that off first. And to do that, there are a bunch of 10mm bolts, so we'll be taking those out first. There are also these clips here, and we'll be taking those guys out as well. And then inside the front fender, there are a couple of clips and a bolt up in there. And then there's a bolt at each end of the light fixture here, and we'll be taking those out. I do want to say, now you can do what you want to do. What happened to me about 6 months ago, this one went out right here. And I managed to take off the spout, the fill spout for the washer fluid. I took that fill spout off, and I was able to get in there with my hand and get the thing loose, pull it out, change the bulb, put it back in. Now, I could do that, and I have a fairly large hand, but the passenger side, there is no access to it whatsoever. And so here's the point. If you're going to go through all the trouble of taking this whole front end off, in my opinion, I'm going ahead, I bought a little more upgraded light for it, and I'm just going to change them both at the same time. Okay, so the tools that I'm going to be using for this job, I like to use my impact when I can. It just saves my wrist on wrenching. You can see that I've got a bit here that's got a chuck on it that will accept the 1/2 inch sized sockets on that. So anything that you have that's a 1/2 inch will fit on there. And then the actual socket that we'll be using on every bolt is a 10mm. I like to use deep sockets. I don't use them all the time, but I like it in this case because it is 6-sided, so there's no chance of stripping anything. So I'm a fan of that. If you wanted to, you could of course use a regular socket wrench or a ratcheting wrench like this, which are always handy as well. I won't be using one on this job. I do want to show you very quickly how to get these little guys off of here. So what you actually do is you put your screwdriver in there, and it has a slot right here made for a screwdriver, one on each side. And you just work it under there and start working your way around until it completely pops up, like this guy. I'll try and get in there close for you, and you can see that it pops right up. And once that is popped up, you can actually pull that piece out if you want to, or you can just pop it up and then the whole piece pops out. And you can just take this whole piece right out of there. It just pops right out. And you're not hurting it. It's designed to expand that way. And what happens then when you push this back in is it expands these two pieces here apart and locks them in place underneath right there. So it works really well, and it's a great way to go about it, and it's something that I'd recommend. Just using a screwdriver, pop that little piece out. I always pop these out. Some guys leave them in, but it's just up to you. And then I collect everything in a magnetic pan. It's not magnetic in this case. It's going to help it stick to anything because like everything under the hood is plastic. But in this case, it just keeps things from rolling away, keeps things contained. And the magnet works to hold on to the nuts and bolts. And then I'm also a fan of using a good flashlight. You can use whatever you like. This particular one has a magnet on its base, so I can position it in different places. And it just comes in really handy. So that's what we're going to be using, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, gang. So what I'm going to do to start with is just take these 10mm out. You can see they come out really easy. There are a lot of them, so you want to kind of keep your eye open, make sure. It's a gear drive in this that is doing that. We got all these out, even this one right here that attaches to the air hose. Make sure you get this one loose, and you want to get that guy out of there. And then I've got my last pin to pull right here, and we're good to go. And then all this does, this whole piece right here, it just lifts out around those pegs. Set her up out of the way. Okay, so off the air, what I did is I got in the car, turned to accessories, cranked the tire over, And if you look, there's a pin here, pin here, pin here. It's just those plastic trees that everybody's accustomed to seeing. And one thing you can't see real easily, there's an access hole right here behind there, and there is a 10 millimeter right here. I already pulled it out. You just put your socket right up in there and it comes right out. You can feel it with your finger. It's just behind this access cover. There's a hole drilled for it, and so you can actually get right up in there with the, this is just a deep well socket, as I said. And so then I just pull these trees out, and this side's going to come off, and then I'll repeat that on the passenger side. I already took out the bolt from up top here, and then I took out these two Christmas trees here. And I refer to them as Christmas trees. And they're very generic. You get them at any auto parts store, but I just pry them loose just a little bit with a screwdriver like that until I can get my needle nose underneath there. So I just pull it loose so the needle nose go in there. Now watch your paint, of course. Hard to see my paint on my nice clean car here, but just push that underneath there, and then you can just pry that bad boy right on out. And they're not really that hard to get out, but obviously I'm trying to be careful of the paint, and of course I'm on video, so everything is 10 times harder when you do it in a video for everybody to look at. But you just pull that out. Most of the time they can be reused, but sometimes they can't, and you might have to make that judgment call yourself. But we got them all out, now we're ready to start pulling stuff loose. So we're still on the passenger side here. I just finished pulling all that stuff out, and you can see there's a little seam right here. I wear gloves because I like my flesh attached to my body. And I just get in here behind here and I give it a good tug like that, and give it one more. Just pop that loose. It's plastic. You can take the abuse, no problem. We're going to do the same thing on the driver's side. We're going to pick up this tab right here and just give the whole thing a good pull like that. And we do the same thing on the other side. This whole piece will come loose, and then you just want to start sort of shaking and shimmying the whole thing loose. We're going to start working it out from behind the headlight. Hopefully you can see that. Now some people will want to take the bottom pieces off too, but I find that to be unnecessary. I can access everything I need to from right here, and I'm going to show you that here in just a second. Just work both sides loose. Try and keep it straight as you do it. It comes right off. It's really not that hard. Just, you know, take your time, and you can see that all the pieces just snap together. So you can do this. Okay, so move the camera above the driver's side headlight here, and if you pull this skin back, you can see a bolt right there, that black one. That black 10 millimeter, there's one right there. You want to make sure you pull that out. And then there's one on the other side, and I'll show you that as well. We're still on the driver's side, but now I've moved the camera to the back end. You can see the turn signal here of the driver's side light. There's my tire sticking out here. Okay, so we're going to pull this, face you back. And again, you can see a black 10 millimeter bolt right there. Just pull both of those, the one that I already showed you, pull this one, and this whole headlight assembly will slide right out. So once again, I'm going to do my best to keep my hands out of the way. You got to do, you're going to reach in behind the skin here and grab this light on the driver's side, on the farthest side of the driver's side by the turn signal. You got to pull that side out first, and then the other side will come out. But you got to pull the driver's side out first, okay? And then the other side drops down, because there's a bracket on the other side. It's plastic. It just hangs up behind the metal piece. But you got to pull these these plastic pins out here on this side, and then the other piece drops right out. So now we're behind the headlight here, and all we're going to do, we're just going to take this and rotate it. So I'm just turning it this way, trying again to keep my hands out of the way, and this will come out. It only goes in one array, so you really can't get that wrong. And then grab the housing, and there's a little clip on each side, here and here, and you just got to pop those loose on each side. Just pop it loose, and the whole thing comes right out. At this point, I got to tell you, don't touch the glass of the new bulb with your fingers. The oils in your skin will affect the life of the light bulb. It sounds crazy, but it's totally true. So don't touch the bulb part. Don't touch the bulb part, the glass, with your fingers. If you do accidentally do it, it's a good idea to rub it with some isopropyl alcohol to clean it off. Let that dry before you turn the headlight on, which probably by the time you get it put in, it would already be taken care of. But just as a precaution, before you try and put in the new bulb, this rubber ring right here will sometimes get stuck to that facade right there. So you want to make sure that this is not still sitting there. You're going to have an impossible time trying to put this back in. All you got to do though, reconnect your wiring harness. Again, being careful not to let the light bulb touch anything. It only goes in the housing one way. It's keyed See, there's my big hands being in the way. It's keyed so it can only go in one way. Turn it till it stops, and it's installed. All you gotta do is just put everything back together the way you found it. My first step is to put the headlight back down into the proper position. And then we gotta work those keys back into place along that side. Get this side over here done first. It goes up into a key spot, and then these guys will push right back into place, just like that. We gotta just reverse all of this. So we pull the skin back, put this bolt back in the right place down in here. I don't know if you can see that for sure down in the video, but I'm just getting that started right there. And I'll do the same thing on the one on the front. Okay, I'm on the passenger side here, and I just wanted to show you this. This is a burned out bulb, and you can see that it may not be real obvious in the video, but it's been blackened, and it's got a big shadow across the glass, so clearly it's blown out. All I wanted to show you was that this rubber seal that I was telling you about on the other side actually did try and stick, and it only came off about halfway, but if that bad boy gets stuck on there, then you're going to have a hard time getting the new bulb on. So you want to make sure that if this comes off of here, make sure you get it off of your fixture. That way when you put the bulb in, you don't have that problem. Okay, so once again, I'm going to try and put this in without my hand getting in the way. I do want to say one thing here, which is that in this case, in this bulb, I can't get this fixture, this light into the fixture with the wiring attached because it doesn't line up. So I've got one wide tab here, goes there. So you just pop that in, just feel your way, it'll fit. And it only fits one way, and then rotate it till it stops. And then in this case, I'm going to put the plug on after. So I just bring that up from the bottom. It snaps on both sides, and we're good to go. Now I would recommend that you test your light at this point and make sure that it's working, and make sure, give the wires a shake, make sure there's no shorts, make sure there's no issues. And I would definitely recommend that. And that's what I'm going to do right now. So as you can see, I've got the light switch turned on. Make sure you're on your low beams. That's what I'm changing, is the low beams. So make sure you're changing low beams. Since you're changing low beams, that you have the low beam light on. There you go. Easy for me to say. And then what I like to do is just double check and make sure the wiring is, the harness is attached. Give it a good shake. You're going to hit bumps. You're going to have real world stuff happening. Give that thing a shake before you put it all back together again, because that is the worst time ever to find out that something's not put together right, something's not completely attached. Then all we're going to do, again, reverse our order of disassembly. I'm going to put driver's side of the headlight in first, the side closest to the grill. It goes up under a lock. Then I'll put in the passenger side next, which slides back in. And then from there we put the two bolts in, front and back, just like we took them apart, just like the other side. And then I'll show you how to put the skin and everything back on. Again, I really do think it's worth saying that I would start by putting this side in. Make sure that little tab goes up under the piece on this side. Then put that bolt in, get it started. Don't tighten it, but get it started. Then go to this side. Make sure all the pins are slid into place back this way, because there's two pins that go back this way. Make sure those guys are where they need to be, and then attach the bolt. It's about right there. Make sure that that is attached, and then you can tighten everything up once you've got everything in place. So for this particular thing, I like to use the ratcheting wrench. I find that works the best for me. But again, as with any job, make sure you're using the tool that you like the best for that particular job. We'll just tighten that up. And tighten this one up. And there's not a lot of room on this side, so an actual socket might work better. And for those of you with an eye for detail, I'm not slamming the handle into the body of the car. I'm slamming it into this plastic bracket here, because otherwise that would be a spot just to promote rust and corrosion. And now we're ready to start putting the bumper skin back into place, get this whole facade back where it belongs. It's worth saying here, if you look right in this spot, it's a little hard to tell, but there are two of these little tabs right here, and they have to be above this skid plate but under the bump, under the light. They go right there, and you got to make sure you do that on both sides before you try and slide the whole thing back together again. From there, we just lift up the facade and start working it back into place. It's a little easier said than done, but again, just start wiggling it back and forth, start moving it back in, and the whole thing will slide right back in. To help it slide back in place, there's a bracket right here, a metal bracket, which is very hard to see even just in person, let alone with video. And then there are spacers on the bumper skin. Just make sure this is lifted up and sitting in the right place on both sides. Just pull this out, lift it up, and line it up, and you're 90% of the way there just by doing that. Then we just got to line up the little pieces up here, and the whole thing just starts to slide itself right back together again. There we go. It's all slid back together. Now he's got to boulder up. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the plastic trim piece and put it back here first. It's always been my personal opinion that you should always start in the middle and work your way out. I find that's true if I'm seating gaskets on heads, if I'm doing it on valve covers, if I'm doing it on transmission cover. It doesn't make any difference. I start in the middle and work my way out. So I'm going to start by putting the plastic piece back in here. It just sits in there. Put all the nuts and bolts and clips back where they go. Since I took this piece apart last over here on the passenger side, then the wheels already turned that way. So I'm then going to go ahead and put those in, and then I'll go over to the driver's side and finish up the job over there. We'll just put this piece right back over the top, and we want to put everything back where it came from. Hopefully you've been keeping track of which pieces go where. I try as much as possible to put things back in the same, I guess what you might call reverse order of how they came out. To me, it's the same order, but really, the last thing out will be the first thing back, because it just, in my brain, it makes the most sense that way. And I'm going to do my best to make sure also that I'm using the right pieces in the right places. If I've got a bolt that's really nasty that came out from underneath the fender, I'm going to put it back under the fender, because I'm not going to be looking at that all the time. So this guy, who's all goobered up, he's going back under the fender. But this guy, who's nice and black and pretty, he's going to go under the hood. I'm going to see him a lot more often. And then all the push pins, well, they just go in the same way. Push the body of it down first, then push that in, and you're done. Easy peasy. You can do this. You can do this job. Be safe. Take your time. You can do this job. It all goes back together. It looks good. Hey, you guys subscribe and like us. You have a great day. God bless.